What it feels like having sex for the first time? 9 things every virgin should know. It doesn't matter whether you were a teenager when you started having sex, a sexual late bloomer who didn't choose to lose your virginity until after you are older, or someone who waited to start having sex until after you were married. Being a newly sexually active woman comes with a lot of surprises. Sex is different for everyone. So what sex felt like for A when she first started having it probably doesn't match up perfectly to what sex felt like for B when she started having it, or what most women experience when they start having sex. Chances are there are at least a few similarities in what beginner sex is like for women in general. Everyone's first time is different. But one of the most important parts of being prepared for sex is making sure you use birth control and condoms to help prevent pregnancy and STDs. Here's what happens when you lose your virginity. 1. Having sex for the first time hurts for some. The first time you have vaginal sex may hurt or feel good, or both. There might be pain and bleeding the first time a penis or fingers go into your vagina. But it doesn't happen to everybody. Some people naturally have more hymenal tissue than others. This pain and bleeding can happen when their hymen gets stretched. If pain and bleeding don't get better after the first time you have sex, you can slowly stretch your hymen tissue with your fingers over time to make it less painful. In rare cases, people may need to see a doctor for a small procedure to open their hymen. 2. Pleasure and pain often coincide during sex. Even though sex can be painful when you first start having it, it can still feel really good too. If you're prepared for the possibility that sex is going to hurt when you first start having it, it's easier to relax and focus on the ways it feels good instead of only noticing the ways it can be uncomfortable. 3. No one actually cares if you're still a virgin. Yes, it might seem like all anyone talks about is sex. Like all of your friends are doing it. And the plot of like 8 million movies involves losing it. But you are not the last untouched human on Earth. Not even close. It only feels that way sometimes because your virginity matters more to you than it does to anyone else. And that is an excellent reason to wait for the positive experience you deserve. Full of mutual deep feelings and next-level respect. That person won't care about how much you've hooked up. They'll just be psyched to get to share it with you. 4. Partners can't tell. Sexual partners cannot tell whether you've had sex before. Many people do not bleed the first time they had sex, and vaginas do not get loose from sex. Again, the only way your partner will know if you're a virgin or not is if you tell them. If you're worried about your partner knowing you're a virgin or not a virgin, then ask yourself why. Are you nervous about their reaction? Are they accepting and understanding? Have you talked about sex before? Communication is an absolutely necessary part of sex. While your sexual history is your business and your business alone, feeling nervous about your partner's reaction to it may be a sign that sex with this person, or at this time in your life, isn't the best option. 5. Doctors can tell if you're a virgin. There is no way for medical providers to tell whether or not you've had sex. Many people think that doctors can tell whether someone has had sex by looking at their hymen and seeing if it's been torn. But this is completely false. The hymen is a thin bit of skin tissue that partially covers the vaginal opening, often, but not always, in a half-moon shape. During puberty, hymens become more elastic. Hymens can tear for all sorts of reasons, including doing the splits, inserting a tampon, or having sex. It is very difficult, and often impossible, to figure out if a hymen has been torn in the past. And often, they never tear. Instead, the hymen stretches, kind of like an elastic hairband. 6. Getting properly warmed up is a must. When you know you're finally going to have sex, most people skip over all the other stuff to get to the main event. Don't do this. Make sure to rack up a few other activities before you go there. The more sexual behaviors you engage in, the easier it is for both men and women. It'll make everything way more comfortable. The way the vaginal canal works is once you're aroused, something called ballooning, or tenting, occurs, which opens it up and allows for penetration. If there's no arousal prior to penetration, it can be painful. Lots of foreplay can help a guy get a stronger erection, so really everybody wins. 7. Your experience of losing your virginity will certainly not dictate the rest of your sex life. Whether you had a good, bad, or may first time, you don't need to worry about it being an omen for what sex will always be like for you. This is especially the case if your first sexual experience involved any form of abuse, assault, or coercion. You are not how you lost your virginity. You get to decide what losing your virginity really means. Whether that's the first time you had consensual sex, The first time you had good sex, or the first time you had any sex. 8. You may not bleed. You may have heard that when you lose virginity you will bleed. This is not true in all the cases, as there are chances that you may have ruptured your hymen before having sex. This happens with women who are active in sports or frequently rides bicycle. Also, it is also probable that your hymen may not break the first time you have sex, if it is intact, that is. 9. Nothing is going to change. Your appearance won't change once you lose your virginity. Moreover, you might even glow a little bit due to the amazing sex. Your hormones will rage even more, and you might even have the urge to indulge in more sex. Thank you for watching to the very end. See you next time. Until then, remain blessed.